The platform designed by collectors for collectors just got even better. MySlabs.com is proud to now feature dedicated sections for both raw cards and raw comic books. Browse over 100,000 slab collectibles, authenticated by the industry's most trusted grading companies. Then check out a massive selection of sealed wax and now raw singles and raw lots. Join a passionate, no-nonsense community of nearly 50,000 members and enjoy some of the best buyer and seller protection in the business. And as always, MySlabs offers one of the most disruptive pricing models in the hobby, with seller fees as low as only 1%. So the next time you're forced to pay 10%, 20%, or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com, the low-fee marketplace, by collectors, for collectors.
How about that new MySlabs video? Wasn't that cool? What's up, guys? It is Tuesday night, Off-Centered with Dustin, the artist formerly known as the Personal Finance Dad, but now known as the Sports Card Dad. So we're excited to be chatting after a wild week of NFL free agency. We got Mint Collective coming up this weekend where we'll get to hang out with each other. Lots of news in terms of cards with I went to PSA today, so we'll talk a bit about that. And we might even do a PSA reveal with him in the next couple of weeks with Dustin. So that's going to be exciting. But we also have a guest that's highly respected, highly knowledgeable, and we're really excited to have him on for the first time. That is Chris, a.k.a. baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Of course, you guys know who he is, and you've been watching his content. So he's joining us from the Netherlands, where it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Very grateful to have him on. So excited for the show. Thanks so much for joining us, and y'all already know the drill. Welcome back. Now let's get to work. Let's bring on the guest that I'm obligated to bring on because we agreed to this ahead of time. Dustin, card sport, dad, not in that order.
Wow, that was creative.
That was a pretty decent ramble, man. Like one take, and I'm just hoping I don't mess up. I don't like say a word and go. There's no do-overs.
Well, I told him, I was like, hey, I need to grab a drink. I need to grab coffee. I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be back. So he decided to figure it out for a minute. So nice job.
I like your youthful hairstyle.
Oh yeah, I just pushed it up a little bit.
It's that bedhead. Yeah, it's that just rolled out of bed. I plucked at this for 45 minutes to make it look like I didn't touch it at all. Type of hair.
Yeah, that's kind of my shtick. Is just throw it together. That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
but you
zero effort.
But you know what? The average Joe can relate to that. They can't relate to your one hair's out of place and your day's ruined LA stuff.
It's called hygiene, Dustin.
They can't relate to your white
hygiene,
the whitest teeth on earth.
People can relate to not putting this thing in their mouth with paste that cleans their teeth. Just
looking like the mask over there, Jim Carrey.
Hey, I'll tell you, I am greasing up though. Anyway, what's up with you, man? How's your week been?
It's been good. It's only Tuesday. I'm used to it being Wednesday, like middle of the week. And we're doing it one night earlier because we got stuff going on. We got Mint Collectible coming up. But yeah, it's been good. My son's baseball team got hammered today. So that was not really good news. He's not in good shape, but that's what 16. And that's like those are the things that are important to you. So I just told him one game, keep it moving.
Isn't it good that he's upset from losing, right? Wouldn't you rather him be upset from losing versus but I at least showed up. I at least put the uniform on.
I agree.
That's a good competitive spirit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. But you know what? It's kind of like with anything. It's like the on to the next play, like that QB mentality, the mental toughness. I also know it's like, yes, you need to care, but you don't need to care too long because the next game is on Friday and you need to be ready for it.
Short memory, right? Athletes have to have short memories. Anyway, let's say hi to a couple people in the chat. We got Brian Sherlin. I have no idea about Julian Edelman joining Tom Brady, but I don't know what's left for Edelman, but I will say that the chemistry that Tom has with Rob Gronkowski makes Rob Gronkowski look like the best tight end in the league just because that chemistry is so important. So that would be cool. Good to see you, Troy, always in the house. Corey Magamal. That's a cool last name. Way better than mine. David Hunter in the house as well. Thanks for joining us. Philly Joe is here. Ryan McClanahan with the coolest avatar, like the most dapper avatar picture, right?
Looking so Boston in that pic.
There we go. Music Forever. Let's ranch it up. I guess that's referring to you. And yes, Chris is the GOAT. We're bringing him on in just a second after we say hi to a couple more of you guys. Steve and Ryan in the house. Great to see you. Crazy Kev. Man, if I'm in the GOAT conversation with Chris, then I'm honored. Well, actually, especially Dustin. Colorado Sports Dude, good to see you as well. All right, so many of you in the chat. Great seeing all of y'all. Let's bring on Chris because it's 2:00 in the morning here in the Netherlands.
He might have just gone to bed. He's like, if they're not going to bring me on, I'm just going to go to bed. This is BS.
And he's gone. He left. Sorry, guys. Like you see the viewership just dropped to 0. All right, let's bring him on. Chris, what's up, man?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah. You have a timer though. There was a timer that was like 2 more minutes of this, and I'm out.
Yeah. Right. That bed's looking mighty tempting.
Well, yeah. Chris has got that fiery rage where, like, on camera, like everything is great, but then it just snaps, and then he's like, "I'm out of here. I'm done."
Well, see, what concerned me was that before Chris said that he's going to go get his tea, and I drink chamomile tea at night because it puts me down. It's like really helps me sleep. So I'm like, oh man, if he goes through that chamomile tea quickly, he's going to be 30 minutes in.
No, it's heavy caffeinated black tea. So
yeah, he went the other way with it.
He's like, I'm going to be so bored talking to these guys. I'm going to need to up my energy with this caffeinated tea. So,
yeah.
Look, a lot of us already know who you are from your YouTube station, but for the few of us that might not be as familiar with you and why you're in the Netherlands, why don't you introduce yourself and your role in the hobby over the last, I guess, 20, 30 years?
Sure, yeah. Sorry, what'd you say, Dustin?
Oh, no, I was just telling him to switch the view on us there.
Okay, thanks for ruining the flow, but that's there.
Yeah, go ahead. Chris.
Totally worth ruining the flow.
Sure. No, I'm a lifer in the card world. I'm in my early 40s, and started collecting when I was 10. I collected for my whole life. At some point, made it a living about 10 years ago. Was living in LA and made it a living out of there. And then at some point, my wife and I moved to the Netherlands a couple of years ago, and I was disconnected from the card hobby, so I didn't know what to do. I started the YouTube channel to stay connected to the hobby, basically. So now the YouTube channel is sort of like my number one thing in my life, but I still fly into the States every couple of months and do card deals as much as I can.
I mean, here's the thing. What I've noticed just being on the YouTube side for the last couple of years is how many people are in other countries that love cards but do not have access. So, I mean, before we go down a couple different rabbit holes, what's it like being in cards in Europe where I see people have interest, but how do you make it work? And are there people around you in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands, in these other countries that are actually trying to collect and try to invest? And are there shows? What's going on over there?
There's nothing going on here. There's a card store in Germany. It's about a 2-hour drive for me. I've been there a few times. And there's a show every once in a long while. The show will have like 8 dealers, and they basically only have modern basketball. So there's essentially modern basketball, modern soccer. So there's very, very little here in terms of the card market. That's why I started the channel. I was like, I needed more cards back in my life.
Are you seeing people reach out to you from the area though via YouTube, or are you sensing like any? I mean, and maybe it's not Netherlands, maybe it's other countries, because like I've noticed people. We have where is he in here? AJ Rose from Japan. I've seen Germany actually a lot, Australia a lot. So there's some countries where I know that there's interest. Are you not noticing anything via YouTube from people into cards, or anything getting more and more popular, or just getting closer to shows or other shops opening up?
Well, I definitely have people watching the channel from Europe, but I don't have any sort of card community here at all. Like I said, there's a card store, which is actually a really impressive store in Germany, about an 1.5-hour drive from me. I'm like 5 minutes from the border of Germany, but other than that, no, I don't know anybody like in my city that collects cards in any way. unfortunately.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
So, well, and another question I had, because you just mentioned you lived in LA for a bit, and LA, in my opinion, and what I've seen, it would be the card mecca of the US, where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of great card shops. I don't know if there's a city that has as many nice cards or as many different shops. What was your experience in cards in LA? Was that something that helped you produce income or hustle and turn this into an income stream?
And was it that way when you
LA,
lived here? Was it the same as it is now, or have you seen a big change, like just watching YouTube and all that stuff from when you were living in LA?
So I was there from 2010 to 2018, and yeah, LA was awesome. There was just there was card stores everywhere. There's the Frankenstein's. Do you go to Frankenstein's, Brad?
I haven't. I know that they do shows really often, but I haven't been to that one.
Okay, it's weekly. I mean, I think Frankenstein's is twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays.
I think that's why I didn't go, because I saw it being so often that I thought that it wasn't that good, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like if it's twice a week, I'm like, how good can it be if it's twice a week?
It wasn't exclusive enough.
I'm looking for the Catch or the Soho House of card shops.
I see. Okay, so it's definitely not this. No, it's not that.
Brad wants to be handed champagne when he walks in the door.
Okay,
don't carry on. Not just champagne.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of, but it's a fun. It's a place for hustlers. So, yeah. But LA was loaded with stuff. There was always there weren't a lot of card shows. I don't know if there are now. I feel like there are probably some now.
Tons of shows. Yeah. So it's almost like you don't know what's worth going to, but you always have 2 shows every weekend to go to, like 2 shows minimum. And I think there's a point where you're just worried if it's going to dilute itself, where you're going to have 3 mediocre shows versus 1 amazing show. But it's a good problem to have when there's enough room for 1 in Hollywood, 1 north of LA, 1 south of LA, and all 3 of them are within a 45-minute drive. So, I mean, huge scene right here. But I've also seen from, Sasha T and some of the others where there's such a good community feel where you get to learn how to invest and collect and flip and what to look out for based on so many others being locally. So what was your experience in LA in terms of, I guess, did that help you, like the community here or the card shops here help you take your business or take your collecting to the next level? Because I just say that because it's a very nuanced hobby where I couldn't imagine doing any of this by myself. Like I would have to get knowledge from YouTube and podcasts and this person and that shop because there's just so much to consider.
Yeah, well, so Frankenstein's, I mentioned Frankenstein's. It actually really launched my career or whatever you want to say. I met dealers there and you just build relationships, and it's all being a dealer in the hobby is all about building relationships and having it, maintaining it. I would just go to the show every week and there would be 3 dealers who had stuff ready for me because they know what I buy, they know what I pay. And that just made life real easy. So yeah, that was huge. Yeah. There weren't shows, so I didn't have that option, but at that, yeah.
I noticed that was something that surprised me too. When Chris was here at the Raleigh show, there was probably 3 or 4 dealers that you knew from the Philly show or from, some other show. And it just surprised me because I knew that some dealers traveled that are at the Raleigh show, but I was still surprised because it's a relatively small show in comparison to some of the other larger ones on the East Coast. And I was kind of like, wow, it's especially with you being in the Netherlands and coming over every few months and stuff.
Well, yeah, because the hardest deal to do with someone is the first deal, right? Once you've done a deal and both parties are happy and comfortable, it's real easy to continue to do the next deal. And so that's what you want to build, is you want to have a bunch of people you're not on your first deal with, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think even in business, they say treat your current customers the best because you work so hard to get them that you want to, retain customers, retain business versus always chasing the new client. So being in Amsterdam, or not Amsterdam, but Netherlands, being over there, what are you doing right now to actually buy and sell cards? What's your process right now, being so far away from shows and shops and just having the online presence?
Well, so it's still a work in progress, but I'm figuring it out. But it's it's snowballed very, very well in the last year, I would say. Without me planning on it, people have started contacting me through the channel often saying, hey, do you want to buy my collections? And so I just schedule them all around when I come to the States. Like I'm actually coming to the States in a week or in 5 days, next Monday. We'll be there for 2 weeks, going to the Chantilly show in DC, and just have a bunch of deals lined up, with people who have contacted me through the channel. I'm just going to go meet them in locally, and it sort of worked out that way. And people sometimes will ship me cards while I'm in the States, and I buy collections that way. So I get to buy quite a lot. There's sort of like long stretches where I'm not doing much, and then it's all in for a couple of weeks. It's working out well so far.
I was going to say, do you have a point person in the U.S.? Because it sounds like a great business to have a partner in the U.S. to have the cards shipped to them, and then have like a Zoom or some way to look at all the cards, look at the whole collection, and then be able to make your offer without all the cards having to go to Netherlands or waiting several months when you're back in the U.S.
Yeah, at the moment, no. Well, I have my partner Jeremy, who I've talked about on the channel. I usually, when people ship me cards, I usually want to get the card. Like I like cards. I like playing with cards. So that's why I do this. Yeah. So I schedule it for when I'm there. But if a deal came in and I couldn't be there and it didn't make sense to ship here, I would have it shipped to Jeremy.
Yeah, one thing Voyeur44 right here makes a good statement, and I agree with it.
This one, yeah, solid.
Yeah, no, keep going. The last one, Chris is successful because of his fairness.
That one, got it. Pull out your change purse.
Voyeur, I didn't know.
Oh, this one, whatever. I'm a struggling hair farmer.
Yeah,
I didn't know he commented 37 times. All right,
this one.
So, no, it's the last. It's the one up, like the last one.
Which one? What time?
9:17, like 30 seconds ago.
Okay, 7. Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of comments here. All right, hold on.
I didn't realize that he. Yeah, I didn't realize. Okay, but one thing that I've noticed too, Chris, is you'll give, or you had said something like people ship you collections out there, and the majority of the time you end up buying them, which speaks to the fact that you must be given pretty decent offers. If you were offering 10 cents on the dollar or something or whatever, I would assume maybe they'd say like ship it back, but it seems to work out. So you're not necessarily trying to hose people, is what it sounds like.
No, well, definitely not. So yeah, basically, I feel like, okay, if you pay strong and you build the reputation of paying strong, then that's going to bring you more deals. If you pay low, you'll get a great deal this time, but nobody's going to come to you again, or nobody's going to recommend you again. That's just been my long-term experience. So, getting the best deal in the moment isn't always the best long-term play. In terms of like the transparency, that's something I never, to me, that just makes sense. Whereas like, I know a lot of like very, very, very fair, good dealers who are totally honest, but they're not transparent. I never really understood that. Like someone will come up to them and try to sell them a collection, and they'll be like, oh, I'll give you $100, and that's all they'll tell them. And I never really understood, why don't you break it down for them? Because that's what they need to hear. I mean, $100 is a fair offer, but they don't know that. And so, yeah.
So that's how you do it. You break down the why also. You give a number and you say, this is why I'm offering this.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody sends me, 3,000 cards and I just give them a single number, they got no idea what's going on, right? But if you break it into categories and say I'm paying for this, and this for this, and this for this, they can get a better sense. They'll feel better about it, and they'll know what's going on. People don't want to get ripped off. I mean,
it's like an itemized bill. It's like an itemized bill when you go get your card checked out or whatever. Like you want to know what you're paying for.
Sure, right.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if some people have like a reservation or an insecurity about coming off as making a profit. But if you're buying someone's collection, you're doing work, you're taking on risk. There should be profit for what sells, and obviously maybe not everything will sell. Maybe everything will sell, but I think it's very normal to understand that when you're selling a collection, someone else will need to make a profit on it if they're a reseller, if they're moving it. And I wonder if that's part of the insecurity. Like, well, what if they think my profit margin is too much or whatever else? So I don't know what you guys think of that, if that's the reason why someone would not want to break it down. But I think if you're being fair, saying like, this is a reasonable profit margin. This is going to take X amount of time. This is going to be X amount of risk, whatever else. Why not break it down? Just because I'd want that sense of security that, hey, this is a fair offer and this is why, versus this is a number and I could just run with it in whatever direction I want, because I don't know if I'm getting screwed or if I'm getting a great deal. And it's up to me and my mind which direction I'm going to take it.
I think
totally.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I think the one thing that differentiates Chris though, is he can probably look at a collection and he knows all the sets, he knows the cards. I mean, maybe you run into like some pre-war stuff that you're not sure on, but I mean, for the most part, if you're getting 80s, 90s, you know all those sets. Whereas a lot of people buying collections might not necessarily know. And then also, I think that just a lot of people are in it for that quick buck. I mean, they're thinking short term. I think a lot of people buying collections are like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sell this. It might take me a year to sell it. It's my time. My time's valuable. And so I'll give 10 cents on the dollar or whatever, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. A lot of people have the short-term mentality, and that sometimes it makes sense to do that. But, I'm in it for the long haul. So
speaking of long haul, we have a new brand called Zero Cool, and they're going to be a brand that we should know about for a long time. How many collections of Zero Cool cards are you being offered to buy right now?
How many boxes do you get?
I have no Zero Cool cards, and I have not been offered any Zero Cool cards. But I would take one if it.
Are you familiar with the product? Because I know it's brand new.
Yeah.
Okay, and so first product from Fanatics under their non-sport trading line. So I think Josh Luber said this is going to be in the same category of Panini, Upper Deck, Topps, Zero Cool. And this is, right now it might sound weird, but 6 years from now, yeah, of course. But the first product is based on Gary V's NFTs. And this is something that 5 years ago, this is like absurd, right? I mean, there's sports cards, there's games, there's some celebrity cards, but an NFT drawing turned into a card is just so 2022. With your experience and what you've seen over decades in the hobby, what do you think of all of this? This is like craziness compared to what it was.
I mean, NFT, I don't know a whole lot about NFTs. It's not my thing. I imagine they're here to stay, but I don't think they're going to like replace cards or anything. I think they'll sort of be a sideline. They'll be, alongside cards. I don't think they're replacing anything.
Question for the chat. Question for the chat. So I know there's a lot of sports card people do not like this product. Like it feels like it's like 99-1. Like 99% of people think like this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But what if this release was Chris, a baseball card collector, investor, dealer set with autos in it? Would you be a buyer if it was Chris's set? For some reason, I think you have enough fans, Chris, that you could sell that out.
Well, we should make a YouTube channel, YouTube creator card set.
And actually, I got the perfect insert. Hold on, guys, I'm pulling it up. Y'all know what I'm going with.
Yeah. No, this is a one of one. This is the rarest card in the whole damn thing.
This is the rarest card. It will be signed. It will be signed. Hold on, it's so rare. I have to find it.
There might be a few variations of it. Printing plate.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Hold on 1 second. So
I have no idea what's coming here.
We told Jeff. We said, look,
find it.
When Jeff and Sports Card Investor launched the Hits app, and they were going to turn hitting the top cards into NFTs, those moments into NFTs, we suggested this should be an NFT that sells as well. And he didn't do it. And I mean, maybe this would have turned things around.
His next video was my NFT project failed.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't take your advice.
Brad, do you have it or what?
Well,
it's a one of one. It's hiding in there.
So now what's going on? This stupid MacBook is now saying Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. So now I have to go through all these steps to make sure that I can do it. So Dustin, keep rambling about things until I figure this out.
We'll come back.
Wait, Dustin, I got a question for Dustin. I want to know the story of you switching your channel name. Because I saw Jeff, I saw that interview, and I saw him suggest it too, but I thought you were going to hold your ground.
Yeah, brutally peer pressured and just gave in. I'm just soft. No, I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been thinking about it for almost a year actually, and just wasn't sure about like which direction I wanted to go with it. Just going back and forth, and then it just kind of made sense long term. I'd really fallen into it being a card channel, so I wanted to keep it general with Personal Finance Dad to keep it general, but in reality, I mean, it turned into a card channel. I mean, I talk about finance topics relating to cards, but it just made sense. And then Brad and I are working on another pretty big project where it kind of ties in to where that rebrand makes more sense. So, yeah.
Wait, when you started the channel, it was not a card channel? I didn't know that.
It was a card channel, but yeah, I just had it. The Personal Finance Dad was just a generic. It was like, this is going to be a general, channel name. So that's why I named it that. And then I wanted to talk about a bunch of different things, and then I just ended up kind of getting siloed into cards. And so, yeah. It's like, if I want to talk about finance stuff, then I'll probably just start a channel for finance stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And real quick, I think I have to leave the StreamYard in order to show this, but it's really worth it.
It's worth it. Well, hey, throw up a good, actually, let me see if I can get to the chat. You do that and I'll go through the chat because there's some good questions. Okay. So I saw one. Are you going to be buying Commanders gear when you're over? Because you're a Washington fan, right?
Yeah. No. I can't stand the Commanders.
You're not a fan of the Commanders, huh?
What name would you have chosen?
I'll support the team, but yeah, the name is hideous.
Did you have a name in mind where you're like, man, that would be a cool name?
No, I didn't like any of them. I mean, I don't know. I actually kind of liked Washington football team.
You got used to the Washington football team.
I wanted something like soccer, like I think the soccer names are super cool, like DC United. That's a cool name to me. I like that stuff, but Commanders sounds like a middle school JV team to me, but whatever.
It seems really kind of generic. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What's the okay? So this video is from Chris's Blazer division.
Man, some of my catchphrases are people really like. That's really cool.
Real quick, because I'm about to, I think I would have to end the whole live stream because if I leave, it might end it all. But that pretty much does. Let's see if I can get that going. This was a picture I captured of Dustin.
So rare. Yeah, it's so rare. Yeah, Brad took a picture of me, squished it up, and then blew it up, and that's where we are.
I think that's
on the open market.
1-0 cool.
Yeah.
1-0 cool or this.
No, I'll take that, and we'll put that on the high rollers next week. That'll be in the top 10 for sure. What it sells for, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It just, your video would be like explodes. The highest rollers ever. Honestly, though, what was there, like an egg card? There was a rock.
Yeah, you remember like egg card. Yeah.
Honestly, anything at this point could be the next big thing.
So I mean,
for sure.
I think that's the whole thing with the zero cool though, is that no one is looking at the NFT cards saying, "Oh, it's this like fearless feline or magical." I don't know what animal that starts with an M for some reason. I'm blanking, but regardless, no one knows these characters. But the whole point is this: yeah, there could be shill bidding on it on eBay. That makes total sense. It is Zero Cool's first ever product, which means that if they do become the brand that is around and becomes bigger and bigger over the next 5 and 10 years, people could look to that. It is limited, but then also what Gary Vee's trying to do is turn this into something where there's a story and then it's like a Disney, like the next Disney. So probably won't happen, but if these little drawings turn into a cartoon and the cartoon becomes popular and turns into a video game and the video game turns into a movie and all of a sudden there's giant, it's like a Pokemon or something where there's a huge storyline and a huge brand behind it. I could see it being valuable, but right now, what, $10,000 for a box? I think is absurd.
Or more. I think it's up to 15 or something. I don't know, but it's to me it just seems like a flipper's game. It's high stakes. People with deep pockets getting in and flipping until it goes up and then it comes down. I assume.
So
yeah.
What are you excited about card-wise right now, Chris? Like, if you look at the whole hobby, is it a product? Is it an aspect of the hobby? What gives you the most amount of excitement based on what you're seeing, maybe in the last year versus last several years?
Well, so obviously there was, the big boom. I'm not really up on modern, on the ultra modern, like new releases. That's not my thing. But there was, a big boom in the hobby, 2 years ago, and I would say it's what's happened since is very promising. What are we laughing at? Dustin's trimmed face.
Yeah, we're going back to his NFT
probably
face.
used a little bit of a trim, just a couple inches off.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people thought the hobby was exploded and then was going to collapse, and we didn't. I don't think we saw a collapse. We saw what I would call a correction, and it was a healthy correction. And I think the hobby is as healthy as it's ever been in my lifetime, unless you want to go back to like the late '80s or something. So I think the future is bright with the hobby as a whole. Is what my overall take would be.
Well, we definitely have some growth here. We got the idiot card collector who opened his card store in Spain. Maybe he has really low prices. I'm hoping based on that name, he has really low prices, like too
Which
low.
city, man? I can make it over to Spain. Which city?
Yeah. Let us know where you are in Spain. That'd be really cool. But if there's just enough for card shows and card shops to start opening in Europe, I'm really excited because what I believe they could do internationally and the plans they have and the money they're putting in, hopefully the international market will really take off because they're super underserved. And then there are a lot of people that might be interested that don't even know what cards are. And you need people around to start creating some buzz for them to know about it.
Well, the card store in Germany, I've undersold it. It was actually incredible, the inventory they had. I have no idea how they got it, but and I just sort of randomly found it, went over there and was there for a couple hours and ended up talking with the owner. And he was like, come back, come in the back. Let me show you some stuff. And he opened up this box and he handed me like 4 cards that were like 50 grand a piece. He had like a LeBron refractor rookie and PSA 10s. He had this sort of things. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a market here. I don't think it's sort of matured yet.
Definitely not matured. In terms of other sports, though, because like one thing I do think of is, well, tennis is a big international sport. Soccer is a massive international sport. Why, do you believe that those cards or those sports will rise or just gain popularity overall based on how international they are? Because it's like a tennis card's not a very common thing. I never collected tennis cards. I didn't know anyone that collected, but of course, it had its moment when Serena Williams cards went through the roof, and then Messi and Ronaldo cards went through the roof, and obviously they're superstars and soccer's massive. But do you see or sense any maybe niche sports or other aspects of the hobby really growing over this next year based on what you think is maybe undervalued based on what you're seeing?
Definitely. Maybe not over the next year, but long term, I think that's where there's the most upside. All that stuff, Formula One, cricket, the tennis, soccer, these sports that don't have huge card followings, but have huge, fan bases around the world. Like, I mean, there's 10 times more cricket fans than there are baseball fans. It's like impossible to think of that, but that's true. There's just so much growth potential. I don't know if they'll reach it, but yeah, I long-term invest in a lot of that stuff.
Troy, we're doing a blind Dutch auction, so $2 probably not going to cut it, buddy. Yeah, it's going to be.
Well, you haven't got an offer above that yet, so
yeah. That's a good point. But we haven't opened it up to the masses.
Yeah, double blind auction, guys, and sure. Actually, maybe it'll be limited to like 5,000, so we can just take every offer.
Dude, actually, we should figure out how to do that and just try to figure out someone make like a one of one. Like
just put a gold border on it and call it special, right?
Just put special and crayon on it or something.
So, all right, let me ask you, Chris, what's a special insert or special card for you? Like, if you say this set, this card, I love, and here's why. Because I have my opinion on PMGs. Dustin has his. Everyone has their own, and some people love them and get it, and some people just don't get it at all. So, like, being in the hobby this long, what's a card that you go, yeah, this is special, it should be valuable, and here's why, based on your own preferences?
Well, I'm a kid of the '90s. You know, I grew up in the '90s. I love the '90s inserts, and Cal Ripken was my guy. So anything, any of the cool Cal Ripken inserts, the '92 Donruss Elite Ripken autograph. That's probably my favorite card ever, I guess, if you know that one.
Do you feel like autograph cards and patch jersey worn or game worn jerseys should be worth, like, always be worth more than inserts that have nothing to do with the player? If it's equal scarcity?
No, cards, man, cards.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm like, for me,
a vintage card has no piece of the player or no autograph, but it's just a piece of history.
Well, what if there was a vintage card with that autograph and jersey patch to compare to? That's what I'm saying. Look, the whole reason I bring this up,
if it existed, is that what you're saying?
The reason I bring this up is, like, Kobe Bryant autograph cards. I'm like, how in the world are their inserts worth more than his actual autograph on a card, no matter what it is? Like the PMG thing, I guess I just never got. And I love metal as a set. I'm like, it doesn't look great. It looks fine, but I'd rather have a Kobe autograph anything than a PMG. So I want to get a more, I guess, mature perspective on some of these inserts that maybe collectors from the past have had their eye on for a while. While for me, I'm like, I don't get it. What's so good about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I mean, when you put it that way, yeah, you're kind of right, like in principle, but I don't know, for, being a card nerd for 30 years, there's like a historical perspective of cards. So a PMG, I mean, that's like the insert of the '90s. You can't top that. Or you can get as many autographs of Kevin Durant as you want. There's he can sign 1 billion times, but there's only so many PMGs. There's only so many rookie patches. It's national treasures. I guess those are autographed anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So there's like a historical aspect to cards that I think will always be important.
What do you think about, so just going back to not the Zero Cool product, but the fact that they did put the print run there? Because I saw a comment about print run in the chat. What are your thoughts on that? If Fanatics makes that kind of a thing, where each release you kind of have an idea, like there's 100,000 boxes of this, or there's 50,000 boxes or whatever. Do you like that, or do you kind of not like that? For the
I love that. I don't know. I wish all companies would do that. I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they haven't since the 1980s. Like,
I agree.
Why not? Huh? What's the point of not? I mean, I guess it's beneficial to them maybe to hide the print run, but it would be so much better for the hobby if we all knew. I mean, that's like the hobby. A lot of people say like, oh, those things were better in the 80s and 90s. I think things are better now. I mean, there's so much information. We know how many we know pop counts, we know serial number, we can figure out print runs. There's sales all over the place you can look up. You didn't have any of this back then.
Yeah,
and,
think about
more information is good. Yeah.
A lot of like the 89 Upper Deck Griffey rookie, or like that 89 Hoops David Robinson rookie card that everyone chased. You didn't have any idea. Like, you were going to your town, your card shop, and they were selling it for $50. You had no idea what the next card shop or the next town over, they might have had it for 10 or 100. Like, no. we do have so much more information now than we did.
And the little bit of information spreads quickly too, fortunately.
Yeah.
Like any bit of information we all know about.
And that's why that David Robinson, which is a $2 card today, because there were 8 billion of them produced, nobody knew it. Like, yeah, because exactly what you said. You'd go to a card store, they'd have one. You'd be like, oh, this is, you'd go to another store, they didn't have any. So this has to be a rare card. There's no way to know otherwise.
So on that topic, if you were in charge of the hobby, like let's just say you oversaw grading, you oversaw the platforms, you could really have.
I don't want that job.
Well, you got it. You're a card genie. You have a genie, and you can have 3 wishes granted. What would be some of the wishes? Not like, I want all the cards in the world, but more for the hobby. This is what I wish for the hobby, whether it's print runs, that's an example, or something else. What would you say? Like, I really hope this improves, or I'd love to see this happen. It'd be a top wish of mine.
Great question. Okay, I never thought of it, but off the top of my head, I like Dustin's a lot. Print runs announced by all companies. 2, get all companies involved in get rid of get all companies involved in all the sports. Give us Topps Chrome football and Panini Prism baseball with licensing. Get rid of that. I don't know, Universal Pop Report. That's sort of a smaller one, but yeah. How about a Universal Pop Report, something like that?
What's your take on grading as it is now? Because I find that to be one of the craziest nuances of the hobby, where a card can skyrocket in value based on a number, but that same number in a different company would be a lot lower, even if it's the same exact condition. And then if it's this company, it's worth way more, way easier to liquidate. It's just such an interesting aspect of this hobby that most, I guess, investment vehicles don't have. But like, what's your take on grading right now?
Yeah, well, like before I answer, let me ask you that, because I just saw you had a PSA reveal video recently, which was yeah. Tell me your take on it. Were you happy with it?
Well, I mean, look, there's pros and cons of every grading company. What I learned early on when I bought some cards that were BCCG and GMA, and I was like, yeah, but the card's good, it just doesn't matter. People avoid it at all costs. And not saying that would last forever, but what got in my mind, what ingrained in my mind was, it needs to be liquid if I plan on moving it. I do not want to have a free agent signing period. I don't want to have an injury or some sort of trade go on and want to move a card and then it be stuck. It'd be a good card, but it being stuck in a slab that will not move because people can't interpret it. So I kind of look at it like I want US dollars, not literally because they're worth less and less, but because everyone around the world will accept US dollars because they can transfer it into their own currency. But if someone goes to the store and tries to pay in Zimbabwe money or whatever, it's like, what do you do with it? And so my experience was very much based on trying to move cards at a certain period of time and not being able to do it. I would love
you had some
for
protections too, though. Like the way that you did it was, your grading fees were really low, $8 to $10 a card, and the stuff you were buying, and even though it was base, it was like, okay, I bought this card for $5, I graded it for 10, so I'm in for 15, and the card is selling for 80 or 90. So you had kind of that downside protection.
It was all low downside, moderate upside, but it was also because I'm like, well, look, grading is $8 now, then it's $10 or $12. What am I going in at? What would I need to break even? And what are the odds that I break even or make a profit? And now it's very high risk, high reward with a lot of cards. If you're paying 50 or 100 or whatever to get graded, in terms of security, in terms of feeling good about the card and the company being respected when it comes back, it would be PSA, BGS, SGC. But even then, it's crazy that the values differ so much. Even when people say SGC grades tougher than PSA and it grades really well, and yet the values don't hold up. And I don't understand what they could do to close the gap or what the hobby needs to do for it to be a bit more even or whatever it should be. But to me, it's just crazy.
Just wake up to that fact.
Well, no, it's just crazy to me because it's like literally, it's like a black jacket on someone could be, oh, that's like a Gucci jacket, and I think higher of you. The exact same jacket with like a Walmart label, and all of a sudden, you're no good. And it's like, well, it's the same jacket, really, but one is looked at in a nicer light than the other one, and at the end of the day, the card could be the exact same. So to me, I still don't get it fully. It's just a very weird part of the hobby, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think SGC is closing the gap. Actually, Dustin, you did a video on that recently, didn't you?
About
SGC?
an hour ago.
An hour ago? No,
I did another one about an hour ago.
Oh, did you really? I didn't see that one yet, but I saw you did one, and I think SGC is closing the gap. They've got a ways to go. PSA is like the distant king still, but going back to what you said, man, the days when PSA was $10. There were so many. I mean, the buy a card for $5, send it to PSA, and now it's an $80 card. Even if it came back at $9, it was still a $25 card. You're still up. There was just infinite potential to do that. I miss those days.
So what's your take on grading? Like from all the years, do you just stick with one or two companies? Do you experiment? There's like now, what's that company you sent me, Dustin? That'll be a Mint Collective. There's one that's grading within the same day.
Master P, AGS.
So Same day grading.
So AG, and then their thing is like completely humanless grading. You know, the AI, the Terminator machines are going to grade it for you on site. But see, that's another
AGS?
AGS. Yeah, I think they're fairly new, but they'll be out at the show this weekend that we're at. So we'll talk to them and get some feedback.
Oh, cool. I hadn't heard of them, but yeah, I mean, the grading thing makes it's. I rejected it at first, but I've long come around. There's just too much profit potential from grading. I mean, PSA, they're the kings. But yeah, I now use I used to basically use exclusively PSA because they were $10. They were basically the same price as everyone else, and they just brought higher prices. But now I use a combination of PSA and SGC and even a little CSG, although their resale is not really there yet.
What are you thinking of their label, CSG's label?
So yeah, in pictures they don't look very good, but I mentioned this on my channel a couple of times. In pictures they don't look very good, but in person they look really nice. It's hard to explain. And if they have the subgrades, it looks nice. But
Dustin's like the exact opposite.
He looks really good right now, but in person he's disgusting.
It's ironic that Brad says that because he's got his camera on. Once that camera goes off, Skeletor time.
Once the halo light, once the halo light is done, once that burns out, watch out.
Brad is actually 68 years old. Once that camera shuts off, no, there was a live stream we were doing, and he was like, "Oh man, it looks like my camera battery's about to die." Like literally, like 2 minutes before we went off, it died, and then he was like, "Oh, all right, bye guys," and like oh, it was the best. It was the best.
Is that a natural tan, Brad?
You know what? It is. I do
natural teeth. Natural teeth or no?
I mean, I used to use the Crest White strips. I think they had a lot of chemicals in it, so it kind of messed me up. But
so I just got dentures.
Yeah. Well, they're natural, like natural dentures. I mean,
hey,
I don't use any whiteners.
We believe you. We trust you.
What's the weather like in LA? 70, 75 and sunny right now?
Absolutely, all day, every day. It's amazing.
No, I miss it. Oh, I miss that, man.
Vintage Card Collector doesn't want to hear from me or Dustin, so it's
Chris,
a monologue time for you.
Just keep talking, Chris. We're going to shut up.
I'm not a good monologue guy. Hey, let's take more questions. Yeah, I'm not a good monologue guy.
All right.
Go to the chat, Brad.
Yeah, let's take some questions. So, Dustin, if you see anything in here, let me know. As for the label of CSG, I just think it looks like a medicine bottle that your grandma has in her bathroom counter. It's like
it's reasonable. It's a reasonable point. But have you held one in person though?
A medicine bottle?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. So that's a good point. Hopefully, I'm sure I'll see many CSG cards at Mint Collective this week. So if you're going to be in Vegas this weekend, Dustin and I will be there. Make sure to say hi. And I'm looking to see if it's there we go, liquid white. I'm looking to see if the label's actually better in person because on the issue I have with pretty much every slab, but especially the CSG one, is that I feel it distracts the attention. It takes away the attention from the card itself.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I think PSA does the best is that they don't do that.
All right, here's a pretty good one. I think it's a content question.
Mm-hmm. Where you at?
Well, now there's I had it and I lost it. There's like 10 questions. What's your favorite reoccurring segment that you make, Chris? And then also just on the tail end of that, any new type of segments? Are we going to see Netherlands vlog stuff or what's the story there?
My Jeff Walsh's comments are very funny. The segment I'm most proud of is the regular roller side. Like that was I was doing high rollers for a while, and then there's John. Wow, John's my longtime buddy. I was doing high rollers, and I was every card's $50,000, and I'm not out here flipping $50,000 cards. So I wanted to start to talk about $20 cards and things like that. And I think regular roll is my favorite sort of recurring segment that I make, and I think it sort of has the most loyal viewers.
It's relatable for sure.
Yeah.
We also got real quick. We got what's your take on Star Wars, and then to follow up any other sports in your PC. But let's start here.
All right, well, and on that, are you making a cameo in the new Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney show with your Jedi hair?
I would pay a lot of money to make a cameo in the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And I do have the Jedi braid. I can whip that out if needed.
I did see a
Yes, I could
question.
talk about Star Wars forever. So are either of you guys Star Wars fans or no?
I am. Yeah, I like the Mandalorian show. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think they've made great improvements with the recent shows after the disastrous last 3 movies.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
I never got into it for some reason, but
what?
Yeah, you're too busy out meditating and eating grass or whatever you're doing out there in LA.
Pretty. I actually have my green smoothie here.
You're like talking to bees and stuff.
Is that really a green smoothie?
Oh man, it's so good. But I do have to pee. But anyway, keep going. So Star Wars. What's your take on Star Wars? And then maybe other IP as well.
No, what was the second question? I won't go into Star Wars. I'm sure most people here aren't into Star Wars.
Well, basketball, hockey, football. If so, what players? So you talked about Cal Ripken. What else you got?
Yeah, my PC is actually pretty small. I got my 50 favorite Cal Ripken cards, and then basically the best Hall of Fame rookie of every player I can get. And I don't seek them out. I just sort of upgrade as I go. So if I buy a collection and there's an Elvin Hayes rookie in there, and I have a PSA 4 in my collection, and this one's a PSA 5, and then I'll just upgrade it that way. So a lot in all the sports. So yeah.
So you grew up in DC. Is that why around that area for Baltimore or no?
No, in right outside DC, in Maryland, but just basically on the DC border.
Okay. So I was going to say, kind of random, but one of my favorite neighborhoods in the entire world is Georgetown. Georgetown is like the cutest neighborhood ever. So if you haven't been to DC and you're going to visit, make sure to go to Georgetown.
Did you say cutest?
Definitely.
It's quaint.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it
super
cute. It's more
cute. It is cute.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Well, Brad just got out of yoga class. All right. Baubles and ball cards. What do you think about the SGC1 Jackie with mantle showing, selling for more than 2x an actual 52 mantle and a 1?
I'm not familiar with that. What happened?
I guess there was a card. I think I heard of this. There's a Jackie Robinson card that had a piece of a Mickey Mantle on it.
Oh, I did see this. Oh, yeah. It was a 52 tops. Yeah, I didn't know about the sale. That card was ridiculous though. Ridiculously cool. I didn't know about the sale of it.
What's your take on all these like cards going for $2 million, $1 million? Is that something where you're going, yeah, I could see that happening based on how rare it is, or I think that's just the fractionalized companies pumping it and it's going up unnaturally. Do you have any take on how high some of these cards are going, especially with the way they might be going about it with these other companies that are selling fractions of it?
Well, I'm sure that has part of it. I buy it now. I mean, I don't buy those cards, but I get it now. I think cards have become art. Like they become the new art. I mean, no one would, buying a Picasso for $50 million, that's just a piece of paper as well. I mean, it's not a perfect apples to apples comparison, but that's sort of what the card market's become at the high end. It's a historical piece of art. That's what it is, I think. And so, yeah, I get it. When it's a modern card, like a 2019, Justin Herbert, that I can't really wrap my brain around that going for, $200,000. But when it's a Mantle rookie or a Babe Ruth or a Jackie Robinson, yeah, it makes sense to me.
Is there anything that doesn't make sense in the hobby to you? Like something that you're like, I just don't get it. Like, why is this? This makes no sense to me. All the modern young,
the modern young players who haven't proven anything. That's always been a thing in the hobby where, Greg Jeffries and, there's always these like overhyped prospects, but it has gotten so out of control, and there's just too much money to be lost on the Zion Williamsons and I'm not picking on Justin Herbert, but the Justin Herberts of the world. There's just he hasn't played in the playoffs yet. His card's going for $250,000.
I don't understand it myself, and that's why when I did buy some of those cards, it would be really low off season after an injury in hopes of selling it the second a headline comes up that they're going to be back in the lineup. Like that to me is it, based on how much Peyton Manning rookie cards are going for, which is less than some of these other guys. And you're like, how in the world does it makes no logical sense. It's just only seeing upside from whatever performance. But if the number is 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, it's like, there's not much upside left when you compare that to a Hall of Famer whose rookie card in PSA 10 is selling for 25K or whatever. So if you were getting into the hobby today, or someone came up to you at 18 years old and said, look, I just love sports, I love cards, I don't know much about it, but what piece of advice or bits of advice would you give to me as a complete novice? What would be some of the first things you would tell them?
Well, so just real quick, I see in the comments, Phil Plantier, Todd Van Poppel, those are great examples. Brian Taylor, those are great examples.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say, if you want to like be in the hobby long term and you want to make it be a side career or something, just what I would say is just jump in, get going. You're going to learn as you go. There's no like class to take. Just learn as you go and deal and collect in what you like. So if you like the twins, collect and deal in twins cards. If you like vintage, collect and deal in vintage. And the learning curve is quick, but you gotta be involved and get in doing it. You'll make a whole bunch of mistakes early on, but yeah, you'll learn from them and improve quickly. Learning curve is quick, but yeah, do what you like, because then you'll be more sort of motivated to keep going. Don't sort of branch off into stuff you don't really enjoy unless you are deep into it already. How did you get started, each of you? I know, Dustin, you were like a collector as a kid.
Yeah, it was my midlife crisis. My midlife crisis hit about 4 years ago. That's when it started. I'm still deep into it. I told my wife, I've got a long way to go through this midlife crisis thing.
He's getting a Corvette next week.
Yeah. No, I got back into, it was like, I was 36 when I got back in. So yeah, it was just kind of like, man, I was watching, I think that's also when like Stranger Things came out. There's like an 80s, like twist to that. I'm like, man, there's some like nostalgic sort of stuff going on. So yeah, I like took a look at cards. I looked at comic books and then noticed that there was stuff graded. That was all brand new to me. Like, why is this, and then I was thinking too, like cards, like why would anyone buy this PSA? Like, what is that? Like, I'm buying Beckett. Like, I'm going to buy a BGS slab. Like, why would I buy anything else? So I had to kind of, you have to get up to speed on what's changed over the last 25 years. So yeah, but getting back into it's been fun. When you actually have a little bit of money to spend on it. When I was like 8, 9, 10.
89 Pro set.
Exactly. 89 Pro set, looking for Barry Sanders rookies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got in right before COVID.
Right before COVID. Okay.
Yeah, and it was via Gary V. Hearing him talk about it for a couple months since late 2019, and then February 2020, I went to a card store. I went to Bullpen, actually bought a box of 2019-2020 Donruss basketball, and I thought that was a lot. That was $200 for the box, and I was like, I remember when these things were $30 at the Kmart, and I would just grab all the ones that looked good. And it was $20 for this, $30 here, and I was like, $200 was the lowest price for a somewhat reasonable product. And then I pulled those Marvel cards out. Now that was one of my first videos, and there was a Zion Marvel and LeBron James Marvel and John Morant and Zion base rookie cards, nothing too special. And then of course the Marvels took off, COVID, everything. And it became my only outlet of something that was fun and playful, but also mentally stimulating, because learning about all this, seeing how everything reacted to the storylines, who's performing, underperforming, trends. So I just got engulfed during quarantine, and then that was 2 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you've always been a huge sports fan, obviously, but did you ever collect as a kid at all? Or
as a kid? Yeah. As a kid, it was mostly basketball, because the Orlando Magic were good when I was a kid, and so that was my team before the Bucks were good. So there was a short period where Penny and Shaq were everything to me, and then I loved Jordan cards as well. There's like, I think 96, 97 Upper Deck oversized Michael Jordan collection. I don't know if you remember that. It was a set.
I do, yeah.
I think it was about 20 to, I don't know, maybe if it was 30 cards, 20 to 30 cards in a 5x7 or 4x6, whatever size. And I remember distinctly, I wanted that. They had it at Target, and I wanted my mom to get that for me, and she wouldn't. But then 4th of July, 1997, I got stung by a stingray on Clearwater Beach at the beach and was bleeding out of my big toe. And because I was a good little boy, my mom ended up getting me that Michael Jordan Upper Deck set. So
wow, what a life lesson you learned there.
Yeah.
And that explains a lot.
If you bitch and moan, you get your way.
You'll get stung by a stingray if you're not getting your way.
There you go. Okay. Do you use CompC at all?
I love CompC. I think they're going to take over the hobby. I think they're going to like take over eBay. Not take over eBay, but I think they're going to be bigger than eBay in the card world at some point.
That's a pretty big
and by the way, my favorite all-time YouTube video title is straight out of CompC.
Thank you. I might not have the knowledge or experience that you do, but I am somewhat creative in my CompC titles. So,
well, then in the video, you insert Brad, Flipper. Brad, Flipper.
Hey, that's what I got, man. I use what I got.
At the moment, CompC has some problems, right? They got some slow shipping stuff. Their eBay sales are really bad, like very slow shipping and stuff. But on their platform, the buying and selling experience is just so superior to eBay. I don't know if you've experienced that, either of you, but I mean, just the ability to sort and find cards and buy, and it's instantly in your account, and then it's just so much nicer than on eBay when you're dealing with all this crap.
It's not organized. eBay's not organized the way that CompC is very organized. We're sorting by highest percentage off, biggest discount. Look at one specific seller's items. Like if you see like a card that looks like it's a good price and it looks like a motivated seller, you find it and then you just look at that seller's entire list of stuff, and it becomes very easy to navigate and find cards and learn about sets. I think CompC is the best for learning about the hobby because you can really sort by set, year, compare. It's like very easy for that.
But now, is that all going to change with eBay Vault, though? Because eBay Vault is essentially trying to add that CompC factor, to where you can instantly buy and move stuff around.
Yeah, well, I think they're more competing with PWCC Vault because I think eBay is only going to take graded cards in their vault and maybe only higher dollar graded cards. But CompC and eBay have a very good relationship, clearly, because CompC runs all their auctions through eBay. But yeah, the vault, I don't know. I think the vault's a good idea for eBay to try. I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off or not.
I mean, if eBay does a vault, do you think PWCC, I mean, I don't know their reputation long-term in the hobby. Just over the last 2 years, I know the name, but I don't know who they were 5 years ago or longer. Do you think that's like a significant threat to PWCC, or do you feel like they'll have their space as well? Because I mean, now you have Golden and you have like a lot of really good platforms.
Well, so the CompC model is, to me, the future of the hobby. So PWCC Vault is basically just that, but with graded cards only. And I assume eBay is sort of coming to do that as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be a threat to PWCC for sure. I mean, eBay's got, a lot more backing than, well, I guess, yeah. If eBay Vault can pull it off, I think they'll be a big hit. But the problem is eBay's not a baseball card company, a sports card company. They're a everything company. So I don't know if they, like you said with the sorting, I mean, you can't sort cards on eBay well at all because they're not a sports card company. Whereas on CompC, all they do is sports cards. So you can search any way you want. So it's awesome. So I don't know if they're going to run into issues like that. And I mean, PWCC, same thing. They're a sports card company, so they're much more focused on that.
One thing I will say, because every platform has trade-offs. For one, Blake, CompC does have auctions via eBay. Like they do have auctions. It's like I remember always having this dilemma where I want the card on eBay at the end of the day. And I thought that was one of the coolest things with CompC is that I know the card is also on eBay because when I want to sell, when it's a certain player, an active player that has a good game, that comes back from injury, that gets traded, there's a very specific window of time, very short window of time where you can actually sell at that price that's elevated before it goes back down. And the worst part of it is when you have the card, the player gets traded, like we're seeing in NFL free agency, which is just mayhem with all these quarterbacks. If your card is not on a platform that ties into eBay, or you don't have it in person where you could list it on MySlabs and eBay and sell it locally, and you're just limiting yourself, then you're really crossing your fingers hoping that it sells elsewhere and there's a buyer at that moment of time. But knowing how big eBay is, and MySlabs is doing a great job, and then you could always go on Facebook or Instagram or have it in person and sell it at a show. I think that's one of the better things with the MySlabs and eBay approach, is that it's very versatile. But at least with CompC, you also have eBay. And I think about a third of my sales were via eBay, were CompC sales, but via eBay. So it's just really tough to take your card away from eBay.
Yeah. I actually haven't tried MySlabs yet. I love the model and the idea, but yeah, I haven't given them a try yet. But I should.
So what's great, MySlabs is growing. I've had good success on MySlabs. Obviously, they're the sponsor of this show, and what's cool is that it's not stopping you from listing on eBay, because if you have the card in person, it's very easy to list. I'd say it's much easier than eBay to list. But one thing that's big with them is you have to be approved. Like, you apply to become a seller on there, and that's based off of your feedback on eBay. So it's kind of vetting out a lot of the people that might try and scam the system. And right now I've had 100% good experience buying. Well, actually, I've only sold on MySlabs, but 100% good experience selling. So yeah, definitely worth looking into.
I mean, I think I wish eBay wasn't so big. Like, I use eBay, but I would like to see the MySlabs and the ComCs and these other companies, become bigger, take bigger pieces of the pie. I think they're better buying experiences than eBay. I mean, eBay just has you run into so many issues. So it's nice to see companies that, solve some of these.
Yeah, definitely. Which shows are you going to, Chris, when you come over here? You're going to Chantilly, and which other shows are you going to? Raleigh, maybe? Is there a Raleigh show?
Well, so I'm going to Chantilly next weekend. I usually go to the Philadelphia show is my favorite one, and then when I'll probably make it down to Raleigh again at some point fairly soon. Yeah, when's the next Raleigh show?
I need to take a look. I actually don't know. I need to check it out.
So you guys are both going to Vegas next weekend?
Yeah. So you're coming like literally the day after it ends?
I didn't. No, I'm not. I mean, I can't go to Vegas, but I would love to go to Vegas.
But you're coming to the U.S. right after.
Yeah,
right?
I'm coming on
right?
Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
It's this weekend, the Vegas thing?
Yeah. I mean, if you can move around your flight,
Yeah, but that's also a thing. I mean, Chris is going to like card shows. That Mint Collective has got a card show element to it, but it's more, B2B industry summit type stuff, so I don't know. I mean, we'll report back. We'll let you know.
Well, Dustin will have a 9-video series. Yeah.
Oh,
are either of you gamblers?
No,
I'm not.
Buying sports cards is a gamble. Like, that's my biggest gamble.
I thought I was talking to cool guys, man.
Yeah, Brad. Well, Brad and I are like, no, we're not. And then
I am a gambler. I bought some Jared Stidham rookie cards in 2019.
We're not much for gambling, and then our video is all like just losing everything, in Vegas.
Yeah. So it's funny in the sports cards, I'm an anti-gambler. I don't buy packs. I don't prospect at all. But when I get into Vegas, I just go crazy. So
that's nuts. So why? Like that? Those types of games, poker?
Like craps and blackjack. I just enjoy them. I mean, I'm very smart about it. I don't blow more money than I can, but it's just sort of one of my fun things to waste money on.
Well, I mean, look, it's like if you want to enter breaks, if you want to prospect, as long as it's disposable income, you can afford it, and it's not going out of control. Because breaking is a huge part of the hobby. Fun. It wouldn't be the hobby without that. But it's very addictive. It's very easy to swipe a credit card. It's very easy when your credit card's in the system and you're not looking at the bill until another 3 weeks, and things get out of control. So it's like whether it's drinking, whether it's gambling, any vice, you got to be extra careful with. So I'm not a gambler at all, except for risky singles, buying singles of Deshaun Watson, Jared Stidham, some players that I thought there was going to be a moment. That to me is gambling, but not opening packs and hoping for the best and then realizing that, the money just went down the drain. But to each their own, just be careful.
Yeah,
so is Jared Stidham still in the league?
I think he's selling insurance somewhere, like at State Farm.
Okay. He's not a backup somewhere.
Maybe I don't know. I heard he's like a top 5 salesman though at his branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Trying
things
to
are
get
good.
those cards moving. You know what? Football's not been great, but his post-football career is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was just selling the hell out of some insurance. So anyway, I've got some rookie cards here if you want to take a look.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, we want to respect your time. We really appreciate you joining us so late. For you, I guess it's about past 3 o'clock in the morning now. 3:11.
Yeah, I gotta take my son to school in 3 hours.
Oh my god!
Oh, so you got 3 more hours to chill.
Yeah, right.
We didn't realize you had all that time.
Yeah.
Well, is your son collecting with you? What's his role in cards?
Yeah, he's 6. He's too young to be collecting.
But you're subconsciously programming him to really
no. I mean, I love cards, but I don't know that I would recommend it to a lot of people.
All right. Well, I mean, we got to at least clarify that just because that's really important. I want to hear.
That's not true. That was more of a joke. But I mean, I'll introduce it to him, but I won't push it on him. I'll let him decide for himself if it's something he's into.
Well, because you're like a top athlete of sports cards, like of this thing, so it's like you're not going to pressure him to play the same sport as you.
He's like, Dad, I can never live up to this.
I can never collect like you, Dad. I'm living in your shadow.
Yeah, that's right. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I've set the bar too high, apparently.
That's it, man. Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us in the chat. And hold on for 1 second. We're going to end the show, and we'll see you in a second. But guys, please press that thumbs up if you haven't done so. And if you don't already follow Chris, please do so now. He's a well of wealth and well of wisdom, something like that. Whatever the thing is.
Sure.
Yeah, I got to play my video. Guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
The platform designed by collectors for collectors just got even better. MySlabs.com is proud to now feature dedicated sections for both raw cards and raw comic books. Browse over 100,000 slab collectibles, authenticated by the industry's most trusted grading companies. Then check out a massive selection of sealed wax and now raw singles and raw lots. Join a passionate, no-nonsense community of nearly 50,000 members and enjoy some of the best buyer and seller protection in the business. And as always, MySlabs offers one of the most disruptive pricing models in the hobby, with seller fees as low as only 1%. So the next time you're forced to pay 10%, 20%, or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com, the low-fee marketplace by collectors for collectors.